The wind howled across the cracked, barren expanse of Varak 4, a planet whose every feature conspired against life. Jagged rock formations clawed at the crimson sky, and a thin, acrid mist curled from deep fissures in the earth, carrying the scent of something long dead. To Rhea, it was home. She crouched on an outcropping, her black eyes scanning the valley below. The wreckage of an off-world transport lay strewn across the rock, smoke curling lazily from its twisted hull. Not hers. She had crashed here years ago, but she still checked every impact site. Hope was an ember she refused to snuff out. Her grip tightened around the hilt of her plasma blade. If something had fallen from the sky, scavengers would follow. And if there was one thing Rhea despised more than the lifeless silence of the planet, it was those who sought to strip the bones of the dead. She descended swiftly, her lithe form moving with an economy of motion. Her kind had been engineered for survival, apex predators on a world that had fought their existence every step of the way. But they had lost in the end. A memory surfaced, unbidden. Her people's war against the Coalition, a desperate struggle against a galaxy that deemed them too dangerous to live. The fleet had burned. Her homeworld had fallen. As far as she knew, she was the last Deathworlder, yet here was a crash site, fresh and unfamiliar. The wreckage was smaller than she expected, nothing like the armored warships of the Coalition or the raider vessels that sometimes prowled the system. The insignia, barely visible through the soot and scoring, was unfamiliar. Her fingers brushed against a panel. The metal was warm, a sound, a groan. Rhea's head snapped toward the source. A figure stirred beneath a collapsed support beam. She expected an enemy, perhaps an opportunistic raider who had fallen victim to their own recklessness. Instead, she found something worse, something fragile. A human. She hesitated. The few humans she had encountered in the past had been soldiers, their bodies armored and their eyes cold with purpose. But this one, he was neither. His uniform was torn, a deep gash visible along his temple where blood had matted his short, dark hair. He groaned again, shifting slightly, his breath ragged. Rhea sheathed her weapon and moved toward him. She could leave him to die. Should, perhaps. Humans were part of the Coalition. If they found her, they would finish what they had started. Yet she reached for the beam, gripping it with hands stronger than they looked. With a grunt, she shoved it aside. The human coughed, eyelids fluttering open. His gaze locked onto her, and for a moment, his expression was unreadable. Then, against all logic, he smiled. "Didn't think I'd meet an angel today," he rasped. Rhea blinked. "You are concussed." "Yeah, probably." He groaned as he tried to sit up, only to wince. "And I think my ribs are cracked, which, in case you were wondering, is about as fun as it sounds." She studied him carefully. He was broad-shouldered but lean, built more for endurance than brute strength. His skin was sun-kissed, his features sharp but softened by an easy sort of charm. A survivor, but not the kind bred for war. "Who are you?" she asked. "Jake Reynolds. Captain, technically, though I don't think my ship is in any condition to follow orders." He exhaled sharply. "And you are?" She hesitated. Her name felt like an artifact, a relic of a people long gone, but she still carried it. "Rhea. Well, Rhea, I think I owe you my life. So, thanks." He looked around, brow furrowing. "This planet, where exactly are we? A place you do not want to be." "Yeah, I'm getting that vibe." He tried again to rise, and this time she helped him, though she pretended it was for her own benefit. His weight against her side was negligible, a reminder of how much smaller and more fragile humans were compared to her kind. She glanced toward the wreckage. "Were you alone?" Jake's face darkened. "No. My crew. We were forced down. If I survived, they might have too." Something twisted in Rhea's chest. Hope was a dangerous thing. She had carried it for years, and it had only ever burned her in the end. She could not let herself believe she was not alone, could not let herself believe there was anything left of her kind to find. But this was not about her. She looked at Jake. He was watching her, his eyes sharp despite the pain in them. She had seen that expression before, in soldiers who refused to surrender, in warriors who fought even when there was nothing left to fight for. It was the look of someone who had something to lose. A sigh escaped her lips. "Then we should find them." His relief was almost palpable. "You're really helping me?" She glanced at the sky. The sun was sinking, and the temperature would soon drop to lethal levels. Predators would begin their hunt. "I am not doing it for you," she said. "I am doing it because I refuse to let this place claim more lives." Jake chuckled, wincing as he did. "I'll take what I can get." Rhea turned away, scanning the landscape for signs of movement. If there were more survivors, they would not last long without shelter. She tightened her grip on her blade and began walking. Behind her, Jake followed. The last Deathworlder was no longer alone. Rhea and Jake traversed the desolate terrain of Varak 4, the planet's harsh environment, a constant reminder of its hostility. The ground beneath them was uneven, littered with jagged rocks and treacherous crevices. The air was thin, carrying a biting chill that seeped through their clothing. Despite the challenges, they pressed on, driven by the hope of finding other survivors. As they approached a ridge, Rhea signaled for Jake to halt. She crouched low, her keen eyes scanning the horizon. In the distance, she spotted a faint plume of smoke rising against the darkening sky. "Over there," she pointed. "Could be your crew." Jake squinted, following her gaze. "Let's hope so." They made their way toward the smoke, the journey arduous and silent. Rhea remained vigilant, aware that danger could lurk behind any rock formation. Jake, though injured, kept pace, his determination evident in his every step. As they neared the source of the smoke, the outline of a crashed shuttle became visible. The vessel was battered, its hull scorched and mangled. Rhea motioned for Jake to stay back as she approached cautiously, her weapon at the ready. A sudden noise, a metallic clang, emanated from within the wreckage. Rhea tensed, her grip tightening on her plasma blade. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice firm. A figure emerged from the shadows, hands raised in a gesture of peace. It was a woman, her face smeared with soot, a makeshift bandage wrapped around her arm. "Don't shoot, we're unarmed," the woman pleaded. Jake stepped forward, relief washing over his features. "Emily, you're alive." The woman, Emily, broke into a weary smile. "Jake, I thought we'd lost you." Rhea lowered her weapon slightly, her eyes narrowing. "How many of you are there?" Emily glanced back at the shuttle. "5, including me. We're all that's left." As if on cue, 3 more individuals emerged. A tall man with a makeshift splint on his leg, a younger woman clutching a datapad, and an older man with a determined expression. Jake introduced them quickly. "This is Dr. Noah Martinez, our linguist, Sarah Bennett, our communications specialist, and Logan Brooks, our chief engineer." Rhea nodded curtly. "We need to find shelter. Nightfall here is deadly." Logan, the older man, spoke up. "There's a cave system nearby. We scouted it earlier. It should provide adequate protection." Rhea raised an eyebrow. "You ventured out in this environment." Logan shrugged. "Adapt or die, right?" Impressed despite herself, Rhea gestured for them to lead the way. The group moved as swiftly as their injuries allowed, the fading light casting long shadows across the landscape. Rhea took point, her senses alert to any potential threats. Behind her, the humans exchanged hushed conversations, their camaraderie evident even in the face of adversity. Upon reaching the cave entrance, Rhea inspected the surroundings. The opening was narrow, easily defensible, and the interior descended into darkness. "We'll need light," she said. Sarah stepped forward, holding up her datapad. "I can rig this to emit a steady glow. It won't be much, but it'll help." Rhea watched as Sarah deftly adjusted the device, her fingers moving with practiced precision. Within moments, a soft light illuminated the cave, casting eerie shadows on the walls. As they settled inside, Rhea observed the group. Despite their dire circumstances, there was an undeniable resilience in their demeanor. They spoke in low tones, discussing their next steps, their faces etched with determination. Jake approached Rhea, his expression earnest. "Thank you for helping us. We owe you our lives." Rhea shook her head. "Survival is mutual. Alone, none of us stand a chance." Dr. Martinez, who had been quietly assessing their surroundings, joined the conversation. "Rhea, is it? Your assistance has been invaluable, but I must ask, why are you here on this forsaken planet?" Rhea's gaze hardened. "That's a story for another time. Right now we need to focus on staying alive." Logan, who had been examining the cave walls, turned to the group. "This cave system might have resources we can use, minerals, perhaps even water sources. If we can tap into them, we might have a fighting chance." Emily nodded. "Agreed, but we'll need to be cautious. We don't know what else might be lurking in these caves." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Stay vigilant. This planet has a way of surprising even the most seasoned survivors." As the group settled in for the night, a sense of uneasy alliance hung in the air. Rhea, the solitary Deathworlder, now found herself entwined with a band of resilient humans. Their fates were now intertwined, and the true test of their survival was only just beginning. In the dim light of the cave, as the planet's nocturnal predators stirred outside, Rhea couldn't help but feel a flicker of something she hadn't experienced in years: hope. But with hope came uncertainty, and the dawn would bring challenges none of them could foresee. As dawn's first light filtered through the cave's entrance, Rhea was already awake, her senses attuned to the planet's subtle shifts. The humans stirred shortly after, their movements sluggish but determined. Logan stretched, wincing slightly. "We should start exploring the cave system. If there's water or any resources, we'll need them." Rhea nodded. "I'll take point. Stay close and be prepared for anything." The group assembled their makeshift gear, with Sarah adjusting her datapad to provide illumination. The device cast a steady glow, revealing the cave's rough-hewn walls and the path ahead. As they ventured deeper, the air grew cooler, and the sound of dripping water echoed faintly. Rhea's sharp eyes caught glimpses of mineral deposits glistening. In the light, Dr. Martinez examined the walls, his fingers brushing against the stone. "These formations suggest the presence of underground water sources. We might be in luck." After several minutes, the tunnel opened into a cavernous chamber. A subterranean lake stretched before them, its surface shimmering. The sight elicited a collective sigh of relief. Emily knelt by the water's edge, testing it with a portable analyzer. "It's potable," she confirmed, her voice tinged with hope. Logan surveyed the area. "We can set up a more permanent camp here. With access to water and minerals, we have a fighting chance." Rhea remained vigilant, her gaze scanning the shadows. "Remember, this planet is unpredictable. We can't let our guard down." As they began organizing their new base, Sarah approached Rhea, her expression contemplative. "Rhea, you've been on this planet longer than any of us. Do you know if there are any other survivors? Any way off this rock?" Rhea's eyes hardened, memories flickering behind them. "I've searched for years. If there are others, they've remained hidden. As for escape, the planet's electromagnetic storms disrupt any communication or navigation systems. We're effectively cut off." Sarah frowned. "There has to be a way." "Maybe if we can find a way to shield our equipment from the interference." Logan overheard and joined the conversation. "It's a long shot, but if we can find materials with the right properties, we might be able to jury-rig something." Rhea considered. There's a region to the north with unusual mineral activity. I've avoided it due to the dangerous fauna, but it might have what we need." Jake, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "Then that's our next move. We prepare, gather resources, and make the journey." The group spent the next few days fortifying their new base, rationing supplies, and planning the expedition. Rhea shared her knowledge of the planet's dangers, teaching them survival tactics she'd honed over the years. One evening, as they gathered around a small fire, Emily turned to Rhea. "You've been alone here for so long. Why risk helping us?" Rhea stared into the flames, her expression unreadable. "Isolation wears on the mind. Perhaps I saw in you a chance for redemption, or simply a way to end this solitude." Dr. Martinez nodded thoughtfully. "Human connection is a powerful motivator, even for those who aren't entirely human." Rhea's gaze snapped to him, a hint of surprise in her eyes. "You know?" He smiled gently. "I've studied various species. Your physiology is unique, but there are telltale signs. You're a hybrid, aren't you? She sighed, the weight of her secret lifting slightly. Yes, part human, part Deathworlder, a product of experimentation. Sarah's eyes widened. That explains your resilience. But why were you here? Ria's expression darkened. I was deemed a failure and left to die on this planet, but I survived. Jake placed a hand on her shoulder. You're not a failure. You're a testament to adaptability and strength. Ria met his gaze, a flicker of gratitude in her eyes. Thank you. As the fire crackled, a sense of camaraderie settled over the group. They were no longer just survivors. They were a team, bound by a common goal. The following morning, they set out toward the northern region, determination fueling their steps. The journey was fraught with peril, treacherous terrain, volatile weather, and predatory creatures that stalked from the shadows. Ria's expertise proved invaluable. She guided them through hidden paths, identified edible flora, and dispatched threats with swift precision. The humans, in turn, showcased their ingenuity. Logan devised traps to deter larger predators, while Sarah modified their equipment to better withstand the planet's electromagnetic interference. After days of arduous travel, they reached the mineral-rich area Ria had mentioned. The landscape was otherworldly. Crystalline structures jutted from the ground, pulsating with an eerie glow. Dr. Martinez examined the formations, his excitement palpable. These crystals have unique conductive properties. If we can harvest and integrate them into our equipment, we might be able to establish a communication link. Emily nodded. Let's get to work. The sooner we can call for help, the better. As they began extracting the crystals, a low rumble resonated through the ground. Ria's eyes narrowed. We're not alone. From the shadows emerged a colossal creature, its scales reflecting the ambient light. The creature's scales glistened ominously as it advanced, each step causing the ground to tremble. Its eyes, cold and calculating, locked onto the group, assessing them as potential prey. Logan instinctively positioned himself between the beast and his team, weapon drawn but hands steady. Everyone back slowly. Don't make any sudden moves. Sarah's mind raced, recalling the limited data they'd gathered on the planet's fauna. Ria, do you recognize this species? Any weaknesses? Ria's gaze remained fixed on the creature. It's a Zarnak, apex predator here. Its underbelly is less armored, but getting close enough, Dr. Martinez interjected. Perhaps we don't need to. If we can create a diversion, we might be able to escape without direct confrontation. Emily glanced around, spotting a cluster of crystalline formations nearby. Those crystals, if we can cause a collapse, it might block its path. Logan nodded. Good idea. Sarah, set a timed charge. Everyone else, prepare to move on my signal. As Sarah hurriedly set the explosives, the Zarnak inched closer, its nostrils flaring as it caught their scent. The tension was palpable, each second stretching into an eternity. Done, Sarah whispered, retreating. Now, Logan shouted. The team sprinted toward a narrow passageway as the charge detonated, sending shards of crystal cascading down. A deafening roar echoed through the cavern as the Zarnak was momentarily obscured by the debris. Breathing heavily, they regrouped deeper within the cave system. That won't hold it for long, Ria warned. Logan wiped sweat from his brow. We need to find another way out. Suggestions? Dr. Martinez consulted his portable scanner. I'm detecting a faint energy signature to the east. It could be a natural geothermal vent or something else. Emily's eyes lit up. If it's geothermal, there might be an exit to the surface, and if it's something else, we investigate, Logan finished. Lead the way, Doc. Navigating the winding tunnels, the team remained. On high alert, the distant sounds of the Zarnak's pursuit echoing behind them. The air grew warmer as they approached the energy source, a subtle hum resonating through the walls. Turning a corner, they stumbled upon a vast chamber bathed in an ethereal glow. At its center stood a towering structure of unknown origin, pulsating with energy. Sarah's jaw dropped. This isn't natural. Ria approached cautiously. I've never seen anything like this in all my years here. Dr. Martinez examined the structure, his eyes wide with amazement. This appears to be some form of alien technology. If we can interface with it, perhaps we can find a way to communicate off-planet. Logan remained skeptical. And if it's a trap? Emily shook her head. We don't have many options. It's either this or face the Zarnak again. Sarah stepped forward, her fingers hovering over the structure's surface. I'll try to establish a connection. Cover me. As she began interfacing with the alien tech, symbols and patterns illuminated beneath her touch. The hum intensified, and the chamber vibrated subtly. It's responding, Sarah murmured, her focus unwavering. Ria's ears perked up, detecting the distant growl of the Zarnak. We need to hurry. Dr. Martinez monitored the energy readings. Whatever you're doing, it's causing a reaction. Energy levels are spiking. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from the structure, projecting a holographic star map into the air. Markers indicated various planetary systems, with one pulsating brighter than the rest. Sarah's eyes widened. This is a navigation system. It's showing us potential destinations. Logan glanced at the map. Can it transport us? Dr. Martinez shook his head. Unlikely, but it might be a communication relay. If we can send a distress signal, Emily interjected, we need to align it with our ship's frequency, but without precise calibration. Ria's voice was firm. We don't have time for perfection. Do what you can. As Sarah worked to synchronize the device with their equipment, the ground shook violently. The Zarnak had breached the previous barrier and was closing in. Almost there, Sarah muttered, sweat dripping from her brow. Logan readied his weapon, positioning himself between the tunnel entrance and his team. Prepare for contact. The creature's roar echoed louder, its massive form emerging from the shadows. Its eyes gleamed with predatory intent as it charged. Now, Sarah! Ria shouted. With a final keystroke, Sarah activated the device. A powerful energy wave emanated from the structure, enveloping the chamber. The Zarnak halted abruptly, disoriented by the sudden surge. Dr. Martinez monitored the readings. The signal's been sent. Let's hope someone hears it. Emily grabbed her gear. We need to move before it recovers. The relentless pursuit of the Zarnak left the team with no choice but to delve deeper into the uncharted cave system. Each member grappled with the weight of their predicament, the oppressive darkness amplifying their fears. Logan, ever the vigilant leader, took point. His senses were heightened, every sound and shadow scrutinized for potential threats. He couldn't shake the nagging doubt about the alien structure they'd encountered. Had activating it truly been the right decision? Sarah, walking just behind, replayed the sequence of symbols she'd interfaced with. The alien technology was unlike anything she'd ever seen, and the possibility of having sent a distress signal both intrigued and terrified her. Dr. Martinez, clutching his portable scanner, monitored the energy fluctuations. The readings were erratic, suggesting that their actions had triggered a cascade of events beyond their understanding. Emily, ever the optimist, tried to lighten the mood. At least we know we're not alone in the universe, she quipped, though her voice wavered slightly. Ria, bringing up the rear, remained silent. Her unique physiology allowed her to sense subtle changes in the environment, and she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. As they pressed on, the tunnel walls began to change, transitioning from rough stone to a smooth metallic surface. Faint luminescent lines traced intricate patterns, casting an eerie glow. This doesn't look natural, Dr. Martinez observed, his eyes wide with fascination. Agreed, Logan replied. Stay alert. We don't know what we're walking into. The passage opened into a vast chamber, dominated by a colossal structure that pulsed with a rhythmic light. It resembled the device they'd encountered earlier, but was exponentially larger and more complex. Sarah approached a nearby console, her fingers itching to explore. This might be the central hub, she speculated. Or the heart of the beast, Ria countered, her eyes scanning the shadows. Before they could deliberate further, a deep, resonant hum filled the chamber. The structure's lights intensified, and a holographic projection materialized above them. The projection depicted a star system, with one planet highlighted. Alien script accompanied the image, scrolling rapidly. Dr. Martinez's eyes widened. This is incredible. It's a navigational map. But to where? Emily asked, her brow furrowed. Sarah's fingers danced over the console, attempting to decipher the symbols. If I'm interpreting this correctly, it's pointing to a planet within our galaxy. A destination or a warning? Rhea mused aloud. Logan's instincts screamed caution. We need more information before making any decisions. Suddenly, the chamber trembled. The walls vibrated and the hum grew louder. From the shadows emerged a figure, humanoid in shape, but with features that defied earthly biology. The being's skin shimmered with iridescent hues, and its eyes glowed with an inner light. It regarded the team with an inscrutable expression, before speaking in a melodious tone. You have activated the beacon, it intoned. State your purpose. The team exchanged uneasy glances. Logan stepped forward, his voice steady. We are explorers. From Earth, we activated the device seeking assistance. The being tilted its head. Earth, a world uncontacted for millennia. Why do you seek aid? Dr. Martinez interjected. Our vessel is stranded and we are pursued by a hostile entity native to this planet. The being's eyes flickered. The Zarnak, a guardian of this realm. Guardian? Emily echoed, incredulous. It ensures that only the worthy may access the gateway, the being explained, gesturing to the massive structure. Sarah's curiosity piqued. What is the gateway? A conduit to other worlds, a means of traversing the cosmos, the being replied. Rhea's eyes narrowed. And what determines worthiness? The being's gaze bore into hers. Resilience, unity, and the courage to face the unknown. Logan squared his shoulders. We've demonstrated all those qualities. Will you help us? The being considered for a moment before nodding. Very well. But know this, the journey through the gateway is fraught with peril. Not all who enter emerge unscathed. Dr. Martinez's excitement was palpable. This could be our chance to return home, or to venture into even greater danger, Rhea cautioned. Emily smiled faintly. When have we ever taken the easy path? Sarah's fingers hovered over the console. I'm ready to initiate the sequence. Logan took a deep breath, looking each team member in the eye. Together then, no matter what lies ahead. The being raised its hands, and the gateway roared to life, its core swirling with energy. The path was set, and there was no turning back. As they stepped forward, the unknown beckoned, promising challenges that would test their very essence. As the team stepped through the gateway, a blinding light enveloped them, and the sensation of being stretched and compressed simultaneously overwhelmed their senses. Moments later, they found themselves standing on solid ground, the air thick, with humidity and the scent of unfamiliar flora. Logan surveyed their surroundings, a dense jungle teeming with vibrant bioluminescent plants and the distant calls of unseen creatures. Everyone okay? He asked, his voice steady despite the uncertainty. Sarah nodded, adjusting her equipment. All systems functional, but where are we? Dr. Martinez activated his scanner, the device emitting a soft hum. According to these readings, we're on a planet with atmospheric conditions similar to Earth, but the biodiversity is astounding. Emily's eyes sparkled with wonder. It's like stepping into an alien Eden. Rhea remained cautious, her senses on high alert. Let's not forget we're in uncharted territory. We need to stay vigilant. As they deliberated their next move, a rustling emerged from the underbrush. The team tensed, weapons at the ready. From the foliage emerged a group of humanoid beings, their skin adorned with intricate patterns that glowed softly in the dim light. One stepped forward, speaking in a melodious language. To the team's surprise, their translation devices instantly decoded the speech. Welcome, travelers. We are the Lumari. You have journeyed far to reach our sanctuary. Logan lowered his weapon slightly, signaling for the others to do the same. We mean no harm. Our arrival was unintentional. We're seeking a way back to our home planet, Earth. The Lumari leader's eyes widened with recognition. Earth, the ancient homeworld. It has been eons since we last heard that name. Sarah's curiosity piqued. "You know of Earth?" "Indeed," the leader replied. "Our ancestors originated from Earth, fleeing a great cataclysm. They established this refuge to preserve our lineage." Dr. Martinez's mind raced with possibilities. "If your ancestors had the means to travel here, perhaps there's a way for us to return." The Lumari leader nodded. "There exists a portal, but it has remained dormant for generations. Reactivating it requires a unique energy source, one that has been lost to us." Emily's optimism shone through. "Maybe we can help. Our ship's power core might be compatible," Ria interjected, her tone cautious. "Assuming we can locate our ship and transport the core here without attracting unwanted attention," the Lumari leader gestured toward a towering structure in the distance. "The portal resides within the Temple of Echoes. We can guide you there, but the journey is perilous, and the path is guarded by ancient sentinels." Logan met the leader's gaze, determination etched on his face. "We've faced danger before. With your guidance, we'll navigate the challenges and find a way home." As the team prepared to embark on this new quest, the weight of their mission settled upon them. The path ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but together they were ready.